You know how people tell you, if you invest $5 today with compounding interest, you're going to be a billionaire next week? Well, it's not that good, but I'm pretty stoked to get into the news that is compounding right now for the San Francisco 49ers in the right direction. I'm going to get into that in just a second, but first I just want to say if you're new here and you're looking for daily 49ers content, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button so you can make sure that the YouTube algorithm knows what to do when you hop on the platform. Shout out to my guy, Mike Kenny, longtime commenter, who said this yesterday, or maybe it was today actually. Kyle's scheme relies massively on the center position. We tried to make it through the season with the journeyman, on the decline with chronic knees. I'd like to see if Purdy wouldn't be better at that position than guard. It's possible that he also may be the future at left tackle. In any case, we are short at least 2 starter quality offensive linemen, 1 from free agency and 1 from the draft. Love the comment from Mike Kenny. Often appreciate your takes. And I think the way I want to approach this is to answer a few questions. The first one is this. Will the 49ers draft a center? I don't believe the 49ers are going to be drafting a center anytime Kyle Shanahan's in charge, unless we have a really solid center and he's like 32 years old or something, 33 years old. I don't really know. I just don't see a world in which Kyle's ever going to trust a rookie center to come in and because he likes to have the center be the play caller. You know what I mean? Make the calls. I just don't think that that's ever going to happen, okay? Number 2, could Purdy be the center? That's another interesting question that you brought up, Mike Kenny. So could Purdy play the center athletically, like literally, physically? I'd say yeah. I mean, the whole build thing is an interesting one. I'm not even going to bother with that because everybody said he didn't have the right build when we drafted him anyways, and look at how great he was. What I kept saying about him in the offseason was that he's just an athlete, and there's something about athletes that you can't underrate. But that being said, Chris Forster, said before the season started, or maybe it was during training camp around that time, he was asked about Purdy playing in multiple positions because of his history in college. If you don't know, Purdy played every other position but center in college at some point, and so he has experience in all 4 of those outside positions and inside. So is it going to happen? Chris Forster said basically he's not the kind of guy he's looking for a center. So as long as Forster's around, sounds like that's a done deal. That's a lock. Not going to happen. The other one that's interesting is will he someday end up at tackle? Because that was a lot of projections people were making. Like, you know, he's played at tackle. We sign him. He plays at guard. He'll probably be a guard, but we don't know for sure. And then when we finally got to training camp, it was pretty sure it was going to be a guard position that he was going to be rotating in. I remember being bummed because I was really hoping he'd be challenging for a tackle position. However, it's worked out really, really well for the 49ers that they've locked down the right guard position. Will he someday end up out at a tackle? Maybe. That's very possible. And could he be the Trent Williams replacement? I don't think he has the length that you want to be at tackle. I worry a little bit that he'd be a Colton McKivitz type, where even though Colton McKivitz had a really good season, for the most part, like I thought it was pretty solid, there are just moments where you feel found out, and I worry if you take his size out there, if the outside's he's gonna feel found out at times, and it definitely puts you in a different kind of position. It puts the attention on you in a different kind of position. So all super interesting stuff. Thanks for bringing that comment up, Mike Kenny. Let's get to the compounding news for the 49ers that I'm super hyped right now. It's compounding in the right direction. We got another big take from SB Nation on their predictions for every NFL head coaching positioning, and the head coach openings do not include one Robert Saleh. And so I think it's compounding to positivity for the 49ers because I think he's the front runner for the defensive coordinator position. I think if he doesn't get a job this year as a head coach, I don't believe next year he's going to be up for head coach again. I think it's going to be a couple years. I do believe someday he will be up again for head coaching opportunities, but I wonder if, you know, there's going to be an agreement that if he does come back as a DC, that they're kind of committing to at least 2 years together. I hope that's the commitment. If I'm Shanahan, that's what I would be doing, but that's easier said than done. Now, My screens are all bright and my glasses are all shiny. Let me turn that down a little bit. So Cowboys get Kellen Moore in this projection. Jets get Rex Ryan. Oh, that's laughable. He goes back to the Jets. Raiders get Ben Johnson, which I think is an interesting one with the whole Brady connection and all that stuff. Jaguars get Liam Cohen, and then Bears get Mike McCarthy, which is another one that makes me laugh in a weird way, could actually really fit in Chicago. So the whole Dallas situation is such a weird thing. I don't know if anybody knows exactly what the next couple of years for Mike McCarthy are going to look like, but I think it's going to be fascinating either way. And I think overall, the big win for the 49ers is that it means that if Robert Saleh does not get a job, is now the second big publication that did not include Saleh getting another hit at the head coaching level. So I think that's really good news for the 49ers because he's still my preferred candidate. For so many reasons we've talked about before. I don't need to get into all the details. But then we had this other development around the head coaching situation where, there's a lot of controversy, even in the comments in these videos around Kyle Shanahan. And I haven't given up on him. And I think that this is a really interesting. Matt Barrows from The Athletic posted a really interesting article on this topic, and Coach Yak's cut just a really good section from it. So I want to read what Coach Yak, make sure I give him credit for that as well, saying a Super Bowl winning executive defends Kyle Shanahan from critics, saying within the coaches in the league, no one thinks any less of Kyle Shanahan. It's ludicrous to think that they should get rid of him. Andy Reid had the same criticisms early in his career. Who's surprised by that? And now he's clearly in the conversation for the best coach ever. And I think that's one of the best comps you could ever have in terms of what happened in Philadelphia and what's happening now in Kansas City. The hope, though, for the 49ers, stick with Kyle, because if that does happen, and I'll keep reading in a second, if that does happen, you want him to still be with your football team when it does happen, right? Kyle Shanahan's criticisms are that he's lost a couple of Super Bowls. Okay, do you know how hard it is to get to the Super Bowl? If you throw rocks at Kyle Shanahan and want him fired, he's going to have a job in 30 seconds. Reid, it was that he couldn't win the big one, and now he's on the verge of winning 3 in a row. Kyle is going to be coaching for a long time. He's going to have another chapter in his career where he's going for 3 Super Bowls in a row. And don't mistake this. This is not Fred Warner as a current teammate saying nice things about the Super Bowl rings ending up on Brock Purdy's hand. I like that. I love it. But it's not the same thing. This is we don't know which executive it was, but this is a Super Bowl winning executive talking about Kyle Shanahan. It's a different situation. In my opinion, and that's just mine. You can disagree in the comments. As always, I always welcome your opinions in the comments. It's what makes talking about sports super fun because it is somehow amazingly controversial. My wife doesn't always get it, but that's okay. That's okay. What I think is really key here is just recognizing this is how the league sees Kyle Shanahan. And if this is how the league sees Kyle Shanahan, then this executive is absolutely right. You cut him. He's picked up by somebody immediately. And I don't think, someone posted this the other day and I thought it was actually really good. So let me put these other head coaching candidates back up on the screen. In the event that Kyle Shanahan gets cut, where do you rank him among all of these guys here? Yeah, I'd rank him at the top of all of these guys right here. 100%. You're going to put him below Ben Johnson or Mike McCarthy or Rex Ryan, for goodness sake? Come on now. And Vrabel's not on the list, but I'd put him above Vrabel too. Come on. That's crazy talk. Now, I understand he hasn't been perfect, and he deserves his criticisms. This has not been a great season, but I am not at all about to throw the baby out with the bathwater on this one. That's just my take. Now, there's other good news. There's John Lynch popping up on the screen. That was a really weird, the way that it happened just felt funny. Coach Yak also posted this today, so more credit to him. Here's what a look at the total number of picks for each team has in the NFC West for the 2025 draft, compensatory picks included. The 49ers are projected to have 12 picks in this draft. Rams 7, Seahawks 7, Cardinals 5. This is great news. This is, again, compounding positivity right now in my mind that the projections are at least that you're going to end up getting Saleh back. Projections are that Kyle Shanahan, executives believe he's going to be on the other side at some point winning Super Bowls, and he's going to get there. And then you also have the fact that you're heading into the 2025 draft after having one of your better draft classes, since the two of them have been in the Bay Area. And I think this is a fantastic setup for another big winning draft class. And they're going to have more time to be evaluating and be thinking about who they want to draft. They're going to have more time to be evaluating and thinking about who they're going to pick up in free agency. I think you're going to get the best out of the 49ers. I hope we're going to get the best out of the 49ers heading into this draft, because that number 11 pick and that number, that early mid, I guess, like early mid pick all the way through the entire draft is going to be massively valuable. So I'm pumped about it. I hope you're pumped about it as well. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, appreciate you. We're just 13 more weeks, guys. We're in the teens, all right? Don't give up. Don't go anywhere. Stay subscribed, because there's so much to break down in the next 13 weeks before we get our first round of OTAs. I'm hyped about it. I hope you are too. As always, thanks for being here, and I hope you have a fantastic evening.